That day, I realized my heart was beating again. Minjin, the repairman, was working behind me in the small space under the sink. Here, this part. I pointed inside. Oh, Minjin's foot caught on the toolbox. He lost his balance and fell behind me. And then I hit him. Something hit my butt. Something incredibly large. A screwdriver shouldn't be this big. No, it wasn't a tool. For a split second, time froze. I'm so sorry. Minjin's face turned bright red. I froze, too. Is that all real? The secret of the man who said women ran away in fear, and the amazing story that secret brought. Since that moment, my life has completely changed. I'll tell you about it now. Before the video starts, subscriptions and likes are love. I'm Hanji. I got married in my 50s this year, endured for 20 years, and then divorced 48 times. It was too difficult to call it marriage. My ex-husband, Park Sang-hoon, he seemed normal on the outside. He'd pretend to be okay and understand Braille outside. But he was completely different when he came home. What kind of food is this? Dog food would be better than this. You're only good at housework, and you can't even do that properly. A new young woman came into the company recently, and she's much prettier than you. I endured the daily onslaught of abuse and contempt. I endured and endured. Where would I live if I divorced? What would happen to the kids? That fear kept me from leaving. Then I found out. Seong-hoon was having an affair with a junior colleague at work. And for years. That night, I told Seong-hoon, let's get a divorce. Seong-hoon laughed and said, what? Divorce? What can I do without you? But I had already made up my mind. I met a lawyer and received alimony. It wasn't much, but it was enough to buy a small house in the countryside. The day the divorce was finalized, in the courthouse hallway, Seong-hoon said to me, you'll regret it. Who would care about an old woman like you anymore? Those words pierced my heart. Yes, that's right. I'm old now. Who would look after a woman in her 50s? So I vowed never to meet a man again. From now on, I would live quietly on my own. That's how I came to this rural village. The house was small. It was a single-story house with 2 rooms, a kitchen, and a small yard. It was old, so there were a lot of things that needed fixing, but I loved it. It was quiet, no one knew me, and most of all, it was a place where I couldn't hear Seong-in's voice. The villagers were kind. The village had came to visit me personally and checked things out. If you ever have trouble living alone, please contact me anytime. Our villagers will help you. I bowed my head in greeting. Thank you. I will live quietly and well. I started gardening in the spring. I planted lettuce, perilla leaves, peppers, and tomatoes. I was clumsy at first, but I learned step by step by watching YouTube videos. I felt my heart slowly relax as I touched the soil. Life like this wasn't so bad. Summer came. The tomatoes in the yard were ripening red, and the peppers were growing in abundance. Every morning, I watered the garden, and in the evening, I sat on the veranda, blankly gazing at the sky. Was I lonely? Well, rather than lonely, I should say it was peaceful. After 20 years of living with a constant eye on others, I no longer had to worry about anyone. Even if I broke a plate while eating, no one got angry. Even if I watched TV late into the night, no one said anything. This is freedom. I lived with that thought. But every so often, I wondered, Is this how I'm going to grow old alone? I'm too old to be young, but not old enough. When I looked in the mirror, I saw wrinkles growing on me. My hair had grown gray. Now, I'm just going to be a grandmother. With that thought, I completely closed my heart. Love, romance, those things were out of my hands. I believed that until that day. It was incredibly hot that day. It was early August, a midsummer heat wave that lasted for days on end. Sweat poured down my face like rain from the morning. I was preparing lunch in the kitchen with the fan on when suddenly I heard a loud bang and the sound of water. Startled, I turned my head and saw water gushing from under the sink. I turned the tap, but the kitchen floor was already a sea of water. I mopped the water and sighed. How much more repairs would that cost? After my divorce, I was most afraid of spending money. I didn't have much money, and considering my monthly living expenses, I had to save. But there was nothing I could do. I couldn't live without water. I called the village chief. I'm sorry, sir. I think my plumbing pipe has burst. Do you know any repairmen? The village chief answered immediately. Oh, right. Call Kang Min-jun. He's the guy who does all the repairs in our neighborhood. He's good at his job and has a fair price. The village chief gave me Min-jun's phone number. I dialed the number with trembling hands. After two beeps, I heard a calm, composed male voice. Hello, are you King Min-jun? The village chief introduced me. The plumbing pipe burst. Oh, yes. If you give me the address, I'll be there right away. His voice was very soothing, neither urgent nor overbearing. It was just the right tone. I gave him the address and hung up. Who could he be? I wondered absent-mindedly and went back to mopping the floor. About 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I stopped mopping and went out to the front door. When I opened the door, I paused for a moment. The man at the door was much more impressive than I'd expected. He was tall and broad-shouldered. He had a muscular build, tan skin, and close-cropped hair. He had the solid, hard-working quality of a professional. He looked a little older than me. He was in his mid-50s. Hello, I'm King Min-jun. He greeted me, holding up his tool bag. His voice was as calm and composed as I'd heard him on the phone. Oh, yes. Come in. I quickly opened the door. Why am I so nervous? I felt my heart beating a little faster. No, why am I nervous? I'm just a repairman. I reassured myself and led the way to the kitchen. The water had burst under the sink. I turned off the valve, but Min-jun nodded and came into the kitchen. He opened the door under the sink and looked inside. I watched quietly from the side. Min-jun turned on the flashlight, shining it inside, and felt the pipes with his hands, examining them. Whoa, those are really big hands, I thought as I watched his hands wrap around the pipes. They were the hands of a worker, rough, yet strong, and reliable. A few minutes later, Min-jun turned his head and looked at me. The joint in my stomach is worn and burst. It needs to be replaced. But there's no difference right now. I'll get the part and come back in a few days. Oh, then I'll seal it temporarily until then. You can still use the water. Min-jun expertly applied the temporary measure dot as I wrapped it with tape, applied something, and checked again. I felt a strange sense of relief. This guy is really good at his job. After finishing the work, Min-jun stood up. I'll be back in 2 days. I'll fix it properly then. Yes, Thank you. Minjin bowed slightly and turned away. I saw him off to the front door. After closing the door, I put my hand on my chest. My heart was still beating fast. What's wrong with me? It felt strange. I'm just a repairman. So why am I so nervous? I shook my head. No, it's just because I haven't seen a man in a while. I've been living alone for a year, convincing myself. I went back to the kitchen, but something kept coming back to me. Minjin's calm voice, his large hands, his focused expression as he worked. Oh, really? What's wrong with me? Han Ji-ho. I tapped the paper with my hand. I thought I'd stopped feeling that way. But that night, I couldn't sleep well. The thought of Minjin coming back into days made me feel strangely excited. No, it wasn't exciting. I just wanted the repairs to be finished quickly. But deep down, I knew I wanted to see him again. The 2 days passed incredibly slowly. Every morning, I'd wake up wondering if he'd be home today. And even while eating lunch, I'd keep checking my watch. Why was I doing this? I was angry at myself. I'd lived a year without a single thought of men. And what was I doing after seeing our repairman once? But I couldn't help feeling this way. On the second morning, I dressed more carefully than usual. I brushed my hair and put on lipstick, looking in the mirror of my white blouse and cotton pants. What are you doing, Han Ji-woo? Why are you putting on makeup for someone coming to do repairs? But my lipstick was already on, and I left it that way. Round 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. My heart sank. I took a deep breath and opened the front door. It was Minjin. As expected, this time he was carrying his tool bag and a box of parts in his hand. Hello, I brought the parts. Oh, yes. Come in. Minjin came into the house. This time, I could see him more clearly than 2 days ago. The black work gloves made his muscular physique stand out even more. Oh, I'm shaking again. Calm down. I forced myself to pretend I was still alive and led him to the kitchen. Here, the water has been working well. Thank goodness. Now, I'll fix it properly. Minjin put down his tool bag and went back under the sink. This time, it seemed to take a while. I was about to leave for the living room when a sudden worry struck me. What if there's something else wrong? So, without even realizing it, I squatted down in front of the sink. Should I show you? Where was the problem? Oh, it's okay. Minjin stopped talking. I had already opened the sink door and was pointing inside. Right here? This part? Minjin leaned down behind me and looked inside. The narrow space under the sink. I could feel Minjin's body heat against my back. And then, a masculine smell, not sweat, made me dizzy. Too close. Minjin seemed flustered too. Oh, yes, right here. I'll go and take a look. Get out of the way. He tried to back away from the narrow space. And at that moment, Minjin's foot caught on the toolbox on the floor. Losing his balance, he stumbled forward. I instinctively tried to dodge, but it was too late. Minjin's body slammed into my back. More precisely, something hard and large touched my buttocks. At first, I thought it was a tool. The sensation felt like a pair of pants. I thought he had a screwdriver, a wrench, or some kind of solid tool in his pocket. But no, it was too big for a tool, and it was in an odd position, and it was warm. Ugh, I froze for a moment. Minjin seemed to freeze too. We stood there for a few seconds. Minjin quickly pulled away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. His face was bright red. Even his collarbone was red. So I could tell he was really flustered. My face flushed. Oh, no, it's okay. Minjin turned his head and went back to work. This time, he didn't even ask me to show him inside. I went out to the living room. I sat on the sofa and tried to calm my chest. But my heart was pounding like crazy. Was that real? I felt like I could still feel it. It was really big. I only knew my ex-husband, Sungwoon. But Sungwoon was honestly on the small side. So throughout our marriage, I always felt something missing. I wondered if other men were like that too. But what I just felt was completely different. Oh my God. I covered my face with my hands. What is this God-fearing woman doing? It must have been about 30 minutes. I heard Minjin's voice from the kitchen. All done. I quickly ran to the kitchen. Minjin was organizing his tools. He still couldn't raise his head. Let me turn on the water. He turned on the faucet. The water came out clean, and there were no leaks. Perfect. Thank you. No, Minjin hurried to the front door, carrying his tool bag. I followed him. You can pay the repair costs later. I'll go for now. Minjin practically ran out of the house. I stood at the door, watching his back. As his broad shoulders retreated, I sighed. I'll never see him again. It was such an embarrassing experience. Minjin must have been embarrassed, too. That night, I couldn't sleep. Even as I lay under the covers, that moment kept coming back to me. Minjin's weight, his body temperature, and his size. Oh, really? Why are you doing this? I buried my face in the pillow, but somewhere in my heart, I couldn't help but admit it. I was curious about him. King Minjin, Shin, the 5-year-old repairman. I stayed up all night, hoping he wouldn't come back. The next morning, I woke up early. My eyes were wide open, even though I hadn't slept well the night before. Let's just go on as usual, I told myself, as if nothing had happened, to go out to the garden. It was midsummer, and the weeds were raging. It was hot, but touching the soil brought me comfort. I put on shorts, men's t-shirt, and a straw hat. I knelt in the garden and began weeding. The peppers had grown in abundance. As I picked the ripe, red peppers, I was able to forget about Minjin for a moment. After about an hour, I suddenly felt eyes on the back of my neck. I felt someone watching me. I slowly turned my head. There was someone standing on the other side of the village road. I could see them even from afar. It was Minjin. He was standing in the middle of the street, looking in my direction. Our eyes met. Minjin flinched, as if startled. He quickly turned his head and hurried away. I sat there and watched him disappear. My heart started beating fast again. Did he just see me? No, I was sure he did. He'd been standing there staring at me for a long time. Why? Why was he staring like that? I looked down. He was wearing shirts and a minced t-shirt. He looked like a newbie, but he'd lost weight from working out, so he looked fine. His legs and arms were still strong, and his biceps weren't sagging. Could he really be seeing me as a woman? The mere thought made my face flush. I quickly shook my head. No way. He must have just happened to see me in passing. But another thought crept into my mind. Maybe he didn't see me as a woman either. I shook my head again. Who would see me as a woman? A divorced, middle-aged woman. But the more I thought about it, the more my heart raced. I finished gardening and came home. Even as I showered and ate, I couldn't stop thinking about Minjin. What was he thinking? His gaze fixed on me, standing amidst the chaos. I wondered. That evening, I sat on the veranda and watched the sunset. As I watched the sky turn crimson, I told myself, don't get me wrong, I'm not that old anymore. But my heart kept pounding. A few days passed. Minjin didn't come back. Of course, the repairs were finished, so there was no reason to come. But I kept looking out the window. I kept looking around. Even when I went to the local supermarket or went outside, wondering if he'd pass by again. I was angry at myself, wondering why I was doing this. I lived for a year without anyone paying attention, and now that happened in just a few days. But I couldn't help it. I kept thinking about Minjin, his calm voice, his focused expression as he worked, the way he felt that day. I hugged my pillow and went to sleep. And as I did, I thought, will I ever see him again? A week passed. During that week, I hadn't seen Minjin even once. The town was small, but it was still crowded, and everyone was busy. It was a shopping day. I grabbed my shopping cart and headed to the local supermarket. The supermarket lady greeted me warmly. Jiwoo, it's been a while. Hello. I filled my shopping cart with the necessities, ramen, eggs, milk, and some fruit. As I was about to go to the checkout, I heard the supermarket door open. I absent-mindedly turned around and froze. Minjin was coming in. He saw me too. We stopped at the entrance. A few seconds of silence passed. Minjin bowed first and said hello. Hello? Oh, yes. Hello. I hastily bowed back as well. My face flushed. Minjin awkwardly entered the supermarket, and I hurried to pay. I have to get out quickly. This is so embarrassing. I finished paying and was about to leave when I heard Minjin's voice. Mr. Jiwoo. I stopped there. I slowly turned around. Minjin was standing there, holding a bottle of soda. I'm so sorry about that day. I didn't mean to. But his face was turning red again. I shook my head. No, it was an accident. Don't worry about it. Minjin opened his mouth as if he wanted to say more. But in the end, he couldn't say anything. An awkward silence fell. I felt the supermarket lady snicker as she glanced between us. I hurriedly said, then I'll go first. Oh, okay. Leaving the supermarket and walking home, I brushed my chest. I was so nervous. I'd only said hello. But why was my heart pounding so hard? Then suddenly, I remembered what the lady at the supermarket had said, what she'd muttered right after Minjin left. Minjin, you must have a hard time living alone. You always come grocery shopping alone? That's right. You're 50 years old, and you're still unmarried. As I got home and sorted out my groceries, those words kept running through my head. You're 50 years old, and you live alone. I don't know if you're divorced or single, but either way, you were alone, just like me. Thinking about that made me even more curious about Minjin. A few days later, we ran into each other. This time, it was at the local post office. I went to pick up the package, and Minjin seemed to have come to deliver it by registered mail. Our eyes met again inside the post office. This time, it was a little less awkward. Hello again, Minjin said. Yes, that's right. How's your vegetable garden doing these days? Yes, the peppers are growing well. The tomatoes are growing well too. They're not easy to grow. So you're amazing. It was our first proper conversation. It was brief, but it felt natural. Minjin wasn't as talkative as I'd expected, but he was a good listener. He nodded and listened intently to what I said. After leaving the post office, we walked in the same direction. Our houses were on the same side. Jiwoo's house is near Sammy, right? So, it's really close to mine, Minjin said. Yes, your house is nearby too. Yes, it's about 5 minutes from here. I live in the alley next to it, close. My heart raced at those words. We walked slowly. We didn't say much. But the silence wasn't uncomfortable. In fact, it was comfortable. I felt a sense of security being next to Minjin. When we reached the entrance to the alley, Minjin stopped. This is me. Please be careful. Yes, Minjin. We each went to our own homes. Once inside, I plopped down on the sofa. My heart was still pounding. This can't be me. It can't be. I shook my head, but I couldn't deny it. I was aware of Minjin. I wanted to hear his voice, see his face, and walk with him. I never thought such feelings would return at Shindul's age. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in a long time. I had a dream of Minjin and I working together in the garden. A dream of him digging the dirt beside me planting seeds, and the two of us working together laughing. When I opened my eyes in the morning, I was smiling. This feeling isn't bad. Another week passed. I occasionally ran into Minjin around town. We exchanged greetings, had short conversations, and we gradually became closer. I sometimes thought, I wish something were broken. But fortunately or unfortunately, the house was fine. It was one evening. I was washing dishes after dinner. The sun was setting and darkness was falling in the yard. Then the doorbell rang. Who was it? No one came at this hour. I closed my hand and went to the front door. When I opened the door, I was startled. Minjin was standing there. Oh, Minjin, hello. I was passing by after working nearby. He had a tool bag in his hand. He really looked like he'd been working. His work clothes were soaked with sweat, and his face was a tired expression. Oh, I see. Come in. Are you okay? Of course, come in. Minjin cautiously entered the house. I guided him to the living room. Please have a seat. Would you like some water? Yes, thank you. I went to the kitchen and poured him some cold water. Minjin sat on the sofa and looked around. Your house is so tidy. It's easy to keep organized when you live alone. I asked as I handed him the water. Have you had dinner? Minjin hesitated for a moment and shook his head. Not yet. I finished work late, so you can eat here. I'll make it for you. No, it's okay. I was just passing by. No, I was bored eating alone. Let's eat together. I didn't wait for his answer and went to the kitchen. I opened the fridge and found the soybean paste stew I'd made this morning. There was rice and a few side dishes. I quickly set the table. I heated the rice, scooped it out, and took out the kimchi and the wood chips. Then I took out the soju from the fridge. Wouldn't a glass of soju make you feel better? I carried the table to the living room. Minjin quickly got up and tried to help. I'll do it. No, have a seat. It'll be over soon. I set the table and sat across from him. Minjin carefully picked up his spoon. Enjoy your meal. Enjoy your meal. Minjin scooped a spoonful of soybean paste stew into his mouth, and his eyes widened slightly. It's delicious. Yes, that's a relief. This isn't the kind of food you cook alone. It's really delicious. His compliment made me feel good. I opened a bottle of soju. Would you like a glass of soju? Oh, yes, that would be great. I poured some soju into my glass. Minjin poured some into mine. We clinked our glasses. The soju went down my throat. It was the first drink I had in a long time. Living alone, I hadn't had a chance to drink. While eating, we chatted about this and that. Minjin, how long have you been doing repair work? About 20 years. I started out working for another company, but later I became independent and started doing it on my own. Isn't it hard work? It is, but I'm used to it. This is what I can do. Minjin spoke calmly. He seemed proud of his work. Do you have a family? I asked cautiously. Minjin paused. Then he shook his head. I live alone. My parents passed away early, and I don't have any siblings. Oh, and Jiwoo. I'm alone too. I divorced a year ago. We were both silent for a moment. That aloneness seemed to bring us closer together. I drank another glass of soju. The atmosphere became a little more comfortable. Minjin asked cautiously, Jiwoo, what kind of person was your ex-husband? The question left me speechless for a moment. Seong-hoon, I didn't want to talk about him. I don't want to talk about him. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't trust you. I looked up at Minjin. It's just a bad memory. I endured it for 20 years and eventually divorced. Minjin nodded. I didn't ask any more questions. I was grateful for his consideration. Minjin, why aren't you married this time? I asked. Minjin hesitated for a moment and then opened his mouth. I just missed the opportunity. When I was young, I was busy working. And now that I'm older, it's too late. But even now, who would love me at this age? Minjin smiled sadly. That smile broke my heart. I poured myself another glass of soju. Minjin, age doesn't matter. If you like me, that's what matters. Minjin accepts me. His eyes were serious. Jiwoo, do you think so? Yes, I think so. Our eyes met. I felt the air shift. An indescribable emotion flowed through me. It was then, as I was pouring a glass of soju, I accidentally placed my hand on Minjin's knee. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. But that brief touch, I could feel Minjin's firm thigh muscles against my fingertips. I quickly pulled my hand away, but my heart was already pounding like crazy. Minjin's breathing seemed to have changed subtly, too. Silence fell for a few seconds. Minjin looked away first. It's too late. I should get up now. He tried to stand. At that moment, I absent-mindedly glanced. There was a distinct difference in Minjin's pants. A completely different look than before. A distinct outline. That small touch took my breath away. What I felt under the sink that day wasn't an illusion. In fact, I hadn't seen it properly then. What I saw now was much clearer, a size that wasn't even obscured by his pants. Oh my, it was all real. Minjin hurriedly grabbed his tool bag, flustered, covering his lower body. His face was bright red. Oh, yes, I felt sorry, but I couldn't hold on to it. My face was hot. I understood why he'd been rejected by women all this time. that he'd said he was scary. Just seeing him now made me nervous. But at the same time, a strange sense of anticipation welled up in my chest. Minjin got up and put on his shoes. I escorted him to the front door. An awkward silence flowed. We were both conscious of the moment just now. Minjin was tying his shoelaces with his head down, and I was staring at the wall. This dinner was really delicious. Thank you, Minjin said cautiously. His voice was lower than usual. Double quotes no. It was a good time for me, too, after a long time. Well then, I'll leave. Minjin opened the door. He took a step forward and paused. He hesitated for a moment, then turned around. His face was still flushed, but his eyes were serious. Jiwoo, yes. Can I come again next time? The question was earnest. Despite the embarrassing situation just now, no. Perhaps because of it, it seemed even more desperate. My heart pounded. Yes, come anytime. Minjin smiled, seemingly relieved. Thank you. Be careful on your way back. And he went outside. I closed the door and stood there for a moment. My heart felt like it was going to burst. He wouldn't give up on me if I came again. Minjin, who had been so flustered just a moment ago, said he wanted to come back. Those words kept ringing in my ears. I sat on the sofa, mulling over tonight. The time we sat across from each other, eating, drinking soju, and chatting was so comfortable and warm. Was this love? I never thought I, a novice like Shindle, would fall in love again. But now I couldn't deny it. I was in love with King Minjin. It was April later when Minjin came again. This time, it was dinner time. I opened the door as if I had been waiting for it. Hello, Minjin said with a shy smile. He was holding a bag. I gave you dinner last time, so you should have this. The bag was filled with fruit, apples, pears, grapes. You didn't have to go this far. No, I brought it because I wanted to eat it. Minjin's tone seemed a little different. He seemed more relaxed than before. My heart felt at ease as well. Then, come in, let's eat together again today. This time, I made kimchi stew. I also prepared soju. We sat across from each other again for dinner. The conversation was much more natural than before. The peppers were growing well. I saw you in passing. Minjin said, I saw you when, a few days ago, I was just passing by and Minjin's face turned slightly red. I smiled. That's when I had a few more shots of soju while I was wearing shorts. I felt a slight chill. Minjin's face was also flushed. The atmosphere was relaxed and comfortable. Jiwoo, Minjin spoke carefully. Yes, I actually have something I want to say. I held my breath. My heart started beating fast. Minjin hesitated for a moment, then looked up at me. I like you, Jiwoo. I froze at those words. Since the beginning, I was so nervous that day fixing the sink. Jiwoo was right next to me, and Minjin kept saying, I'm so sorry about the accident that day, but I keep thinking about it. I also saw Jiwoo working in the garden. I stopped for a moment as I passed by and watched for a long time. She was so beautiful. Tears welled up in my eyes. I never thought hearing Shindu is pretty would make me this happy. I never thought I'd feel this way at this age. But when I see Jiwoo, my heart flutters. Minjin reached out and took my hand. A large hand enveloped mine. It was warm. Jiwoo, could you meet me? I answered tearfully, me too. I like Minjin too. Minjin's eyes widened. Really? Yes. I kept thinking about it. Minjin's voice. His smile. We held hands tightly. We sat like that for a long time. We didn't say a word. But I felt a connection. But Minjin, yes. I have something to tell you. Minjin looked at me seriously. Actually, there's a reason I haven't been able to get married. Why? Minjin hesitated and then slowly said, because I'm a bit unusual. All the women rejected me. What do you mean? My body is too big. I understood in an instant. That feeling under the sink that day. Everyone said it was scary and I couldn't do it. That's why we couldn't get married. And Minjin's voice grew quiet. I held his hand tighter. Minjin, yes, I think I'll be okay. Minjin looked at me in surprise. Really? You felt it that day? I know. I spoke honestly. My ex-husband was small. I always felt something was missing. But Minjin, my face grew hot. It looks different. In a good way. Minjin's eyes changed. There was a longing light in them. Ji-woo. We looked at each other, and naturally, we became close. Minjin put his arm round my shoulder. I held him back. I could hear his heart beat. It was beating fast. So did I. We stood there for a long time, silently, but all the emotion was contained in that silence. Minjin stroked my hair. It was a gentle touch. Jiwoo, you're so beautiful. Those words brought tears to my eyes. They were tears of happiness. How much time had passed? We headed to the bedroom. Minjin said with a worried look on his face. If you're having a hard time, just tell me. I'm a little different. It's okay. I can handle it. That night, I realized how perfect my time with Minjin was. It wasn't pain, but ecstasy, a feeling I'd never felt in my 20 years of marriage. I felt it in Minjin's arms. The night deepened, and we got to know each other more deeply. Shindle and Shindasiu. That's how our late love began. From that day on, Minjin often visited our house. He'd stop by after work, and on weekends, he'd come from morning until evening. We met discreetly, avoiding the villagers' eyes. In this rural village, rumors spread quickly. What should we do today? Minjin asked one Saturday morning. Let's join the gardening. Will you help? Of course. We sat side by side in the garden. Minjin dug the dirt and planted seeds. Sometimes, when our hands brushed, we'd look at each other and smile. Minjin, look at this. The pumpkin blossoms are blooming. They're really pretty. Not as pretty as Jiwoo. But what is it? I smiled, embarrassed at those words. Even though I'm a newbie, I feel as shy as a 20-year-old when I'm with Minjin. We had lunch together. Minjin grilled meat, and I washed the lettuce. Here, try it. Minjin wrapped the grilled meat in lettuce and put it in my mouth. Delicious. That's a relief. We also had a glass of soju. I never thought soju, drunk early in the day, would taste this sweet. In the afternoon, we went for a walk, a path leading up to the mountain behind the village. Minjin held my hand as we walked up. Be careful. There are a lot of rocks here. Yes. Walking hand in hand, my heart felt at peace. Sunlight filtered through the branches, and I could hear birds chirping. Jiwoo, yes, I'm happy. Minjin suddenly said, I've never felt this way in all my 55 years of living alone. I'm so happy I met Jiwoo. I held his hand tightly, too. Me too. I thought my life was over after my divorce, but meeting Minjin made me feel reborn. We sat on the hillside and looked down at the village. small houses were huddled together somewhere down there. Our house was. That blue roof you see over there is our house. I pointed. Our house. Minjin repeated the word, my house. I loved that word. That evening, Minjin slept over at my house. We lay in bed and talked. Minjin, what were you like when you were young? Nothing special. I just worked. Have you ever dated? Yes. But we always broke up because of that problem. Minjin smiled sadly. I put my hand on his chest. It's okay now. I like you just the way you are. Really? Yes. You can't compare to my ex-husband. I'm perfect with you, Minjin. Minjin hugged me. His embrace was warm and firm. I love you, Jiwoo. I love you too, Minjin. We spent the night like that. It felt much more natural than before. We got to know each other better, and our hearts felt at ease. Now it wasn't fear, it was happiness. The next morning, we woke up together and had breakfast. It was just a normal day, but I couldn't have been happier, Minjin said as he got ready for work. I'll be back next weekend. I'll wait, Jiwoo. Don't get sick until then. Yes, Minjin. We hugged in the hallway, not cautiously for fear of being seen, but firmly. Minjin left, and I was left alone in the empty house. But I wasn't lonely. It felt like Minjin's warmth still lingered in the house. I sat on the sofa and smiled. Was this a dream? Who would have thought I'd fall in love with the gods again? And such a perfect love. Only 2 months had passed since then. Such a happy time. Autumn had arrived. The peppers and tomatoes in the garden were ripe. So I went to school with Minjin. This year's harvest was a bonanza, Minjin said with a smile. It's all thanks to you. I couldn't have done this alone. We washed the vegetables and shared them with the neighbors. The village head and the supermarket lady were happy to receive them. Jiwoo, your expression has brightened a lot lately, the village chief said. Really? Of course. It's completely different from when I first came here. Is something good happening? I blushed. I guess it's just because I like this village. The village chief smiled meaningfully and left. It was that afternoon. I was folding laundry at home. Minjin said he'd be coming in the afternoon. Then suddenly the doorbell rang. Is he here already? I cheerfully opened the front door, but the person at the door wasn't Minju and it was Park Sung-gun, my ex-husband. I froze for a moment. It's been a while, Jiwoo, Sung-gun said mockingly. His face hadn't changed in a year. That arrogant expression, that cynical gaze. Why are you here? It's my ex-wife's house. So why shouldn't you come? Sung-gun stormed in without waiting for a response. I hurriedly tried to stop him, but it was too late. Go away. I'll just say a few words and be on my way. Sung-gun plopped down on the sofa in my living room. As if it were my own home, I stood opposite him on trembling legs. What's going on? I reconsidered. Sung-gun said, the divorce was a mistake. Let's start over. I couldn't believe my ears. What? He said, cancel the divorce and start over. Are you crazy? What are you talking about? I'm not crazy. Seriously. Sung-gun got up and came towards me. You can't live without me. What are you doing stuck in this remote corner of the country? Come back. Absolutely not. I can never live with you again. Why? Do you like living here like this? Sung-gun's voice rose. Yes, fine. It's much better without you. When I answered, Sun-gun's face twisted. How dare I grab my wrist? It hurt me. You have another man now, right? That's why you're doing this. It doesn't matter, we're divorced. What's the point of divorce? You were my woman. Sun-gun pushed me against the wall. I screamed. Just then, the front door burst open. Minjin ran in. What are you doing? Minjin pushed Sungwoon away. Sun-gun stumbled backward. Minjin covered me from behind and glared at Sun-gun. Who are you? Sun-gun asked, looking at Minjin. Then he suddenly started laughing. Oh, you divorced me because of this guy, repairman? Did you divorce me because you cheated on me with the repairman? No, I met Minjin after my divorce. Who would believe me? I'll tell you everything about my divorce because I cheated on you with the repairman. Be prepared. Sun-gun swore at me and left the house. The door slammed, hurting me. I collapsed on the spot. My legs were completely weak. Minjin picked me up. Are you okay? Yes, but I wasn't okay. Sun-gun's words kept ringing in my ears. I'll tell you everything about my divorce because I cheated on you with the repairman. Minjin put his arm round my shoulder. You were scared, weren't you? It's okay. I'm here for you. I buried my face in Minjin's arms and cried. It felt like the past happy months were crumbling. A week had passed since Sun-gun's visit. I was anxious for that week. Would he really spread a rumor? But nothing happened. I slowly began to feel relieved. I thought it was just a bluff. Then, on the 9th day, I went to the local supermarket to do some groceries. There were a few local women inside. As I entered, they stopped talking and they looked at me strangely. What's wrong? I awkwardly greeted them. Hello, yes. Their reply was cold. I quickly grabbed the items I needed and headed to the checkout counter. The supermarket woman had a strange expression on her face, too. 32,001. She wasn't as friendly as usual. As I was leaving after paying, I heard a nod from behind. That's the woman. She's been with the repairman since her husband was here. Oh, but still, I couldn't believe my ears. What? I stopped walking, about to look back, but I held back. I hurriedly left the supermarket. On the way home, other people looked at me strangely. One of the village grandmothers completely ignored me. What's going on? When I got home, I called the village chief. Head of village, it's Han Jiwoo. Oh, Mr. Jiwoo. The village chief sounded uncomfortable. Is something wrong? The villagers are looking at me strangely. There's a rumor going around these days. Mr. Jiwoo. What rumor? The village chief sighed. There's a rumor that you've been seeing Minjin since your husband was still with you. I fell out of breath. That's a lie, Minjin and I met after my divorce. I know, but people believed it. My ex-husband came to the village himself and told me so. God, be careful. It's a scary place to live in a rural area. I hung up and collapsed. Seong-hoon really did start the rumor, and people believed it. A few days later, I got a call from Minjin. Mr. Jiwoo. Minjin's voice was hoarse. Minjin, did you hear that? I heard it too. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. No, it's not your fault, Jiwoo, Minjin said. But work has slowed down lately. What did you say? People aren't calling me anymore. My heart was breaking, calling me a wet woman, a flower boy. The village chief also warned me to be careful. He said rumors were killing my business. Minjin, it's okay. It'll be okay soon. But Minjin's voice wasn't okay. Another week passed. Things got worse. I go to the local supermarket and hear people arguing over bills. Isn't that woman ruining Minjin's life? He had a husband, and now he's with the repairman. It's pathetic. I couldn't stand seeing a woman like that. I called Minjin. Minjin, let's move away for a bit. Why? If I stay, you're the only one who's hurting. What are you talking about? Before the rumors died down, Minjin shouted, Jiwoo, I'm okay. I don't care about rumors. I can't stand seeing Minjin end up like this. I hung up the phone crying, and I made up my mind. I had to leave. A few days later, I started packing. It wasn't much. I didn't think about where things like clothes would go. I just knew I had to leave this town. As I packed for Minjin, tears welled up in my eyes. Why did this happen? The past happy months with Minjin, the time we spent tending the garden, eating together, and sharing love, all seemed to vanish like a dream. Then the doorbell rang. I held back my tears and opened the door. It was Minjin. Why aren't you answering? He asked angrily. I'm just packing. Minjin looked inside and looked shocked. Why are you packing? Are you leaving? Where are you going? I don't know. I'm just leaving this town. Minjin came inside and grabbed my shoulder. Why are you leaving? It's because of you, Minjin. I answered through tears. Because of me, your job is gone, and you're being looked down on in town. So you're leaving? Yes, you'll be fine without me. I think it will be okay. Minju and shouted. I'm not okay without Jiwoo. But people call me a flower boy with a rich woman. I'm being misunderstood. I just need to clear up the misunderstanding. What should I do? Seong-hoon will continue to spread rumors. But I faltered. I can't stand seeing Minjin's life ruined because of me. Minjin knelt before me, and he held my hand tightly. Jiwoo, I've lived alone for 55 years. I've never felt happy. Minjin's voice trembled. But for the first time since I met Jiwoo, I've been happy. Waking up in the morning was joyful, and I looked forward to each day. Minjin, the rumors and all don't matter. It's okay if the work decreases. I can go work in another village, but I can't live without Jiwoo. I can't let you go. Minjin hugged me. I cry in his arms. It's really okay. Yes, let's fight together. Minjin stroked my hair. I'll tell the village chief. Seong-hoon will sue, and the truth will come out. But people will realize as time goes on that we truly love each other. Minjin lifted my face. Jiwoo, trust me. I'll protect you. I looked into Minjin's eyes. They were sincere. Sincerity that he would protect me, that he would be with me. Okay. I nodded. We'll fight together. Minjin smiled, and he hugged me tightly. We stayed like that for a while. Are you unpacking? Yes, I unpacked again. Minjin helped me. Should I visit the village chief tomorrow? Minjin asked. Yes, I should tell the truth. Seong-hoon is also preparing to sue for defamation. Let's do that. We looked at each other and smiled. It was hard, but I thought we could overcome it together. Minjin stayed at my house that night. We lay on the bed, holding hands. Aren't you scared? I asked. Yes, but Jiwoo is more important, Minjin answered. I buried my face in his chest. With this person, the next day, we went to visit the village chief. The village chief looked at us and sighed. Please sit down. We sat side by side. Minjin was the first to speak. The rumors aren't true, Mr. Village. Jiwoo met me after her divorce. We didn't know each other when she was still married. The village chief looked at us in turn. Then why would my ex-husband spread such a rumor? It's revenge, I said. He didn't want me to live happily ever after. So, using Minjin to harass me, I told him the truth about our marriage. The story of how we endured Sunggun's abusive and infidelity and ultimately divorced him. The village chief listened quietly. And we're going to sue for defamation, Minjin added. We have evidence. I recorded Sunggun coming to our house and threatening us. The village chief nodded. Understood. I'll tell the villagers. Thank you. But the village chief looked at us and said, be careful from now on. Rumors are scary in rural villages. Once they start, they don't go away easily. I know that, Minjin replied, but we'll stand firm. We haven't done anything wrong. A few days later, the village chief held a meeting at the village hall. We attended. He told the villagers the truth. Han Jiwoo and King Minjun met after their divorce. Her ex-husband spread false information. People started to murmur, and Han Ji-ho was abused by her ex-husband for 20 years. That's why she divorced. The supermarket lady raised her hand. So were we mistaken? Yes. That's why I'm telling you this. Please treat them kindly from now on. After the meeting, several people approached us. I'm sorry. We misunderstood. It's okay. I understand. I smiled and replied. From that day on, the village atmosphere gradually changed. People greeted us again, and Minjun started getting work. SEO and G-Woo stopped showing up after we sued him. He said he would settle through his lawyer. 3 months passed. Winter came. One Saturday morning, Minjun came to our house with his belongings. What's up? He said, smiling. We've moved in, Minjun said. We'll live here together from now on. I cried. They were tears of joy, really? Yes. I told the village chief. Everyone congratulated me. Minjun hugged me. Jiwoo, live happily. Yes, live happily. We embraced. The first snow was falling in the yard. White snow covered the vegetable garden. That evening, we invited the villagers. They were small houses. The village chief, the supermarket owner, the housewives, the neighbors, the grandmothers. Congratulations, you two. Thank you. We greeted them with smiles. We talked late into the night. Everyone left, and it was just the two of us. Are you tired? Minjun asked. No, I'm happy. I held Minjun's hand. Minjun, thank you. It's natural for you to protect me. Minjun kissed my forehead. We looked out the window. The snow kept falling. It covered the vegetable garden, covered the yard, and painted the world white. What will happen next spring? I asked. Jiwoo, let's plant what you like. How about strawberries? Minjun likes it, right? It's good. Let's plant it together. We looked at each other and laughed. Schindel and 55. This is how our late love began. It was hard, but we eventually found happiness. Age is just a number. We proved that true love can begin at any time. That night, we fell asleep together. I laughed in Minjun's arms. What's so funny? Minjun asked. It just reminded me of when I first felt it under the sink. I thought it was a screwdriver. Minjun's face lit up. It was an accident, I know, but thanks to that accident, I can't forget you. Jiwoo, you fools. You said other women ran away in fear. I tapped his chest. I enjoyed it well. No, not endured it. I was happy. Minjin smiled shyly. I'm happy for the first time in my life. To so, you have to do well in the future. Minjin, yes. I will do well for the rest of my life. We looked at each other and laughed. Schindel and 55. To others, it might seem like a simple love story, but to us, it was perfect. Outside the window, snow continued to fall, white and quiet. Thank you for staying with us until the end of today's long story. If you've made it this far, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. It would be a great help if you could leave a line